Hey guys, well I'm almost up to my 3rd month on YouTube and I thought it was about time for me to show you my game room. Let's go on in. So this game room was a project back in 2020 during quarantine. It looked a lot different back then, but I wanted to give it kind of a library, museum vibe, have all the games be vertical and straight, and you'll notice that in my game room there's not many collector's editions. Everything's kind of the same size, all going the same direction. I don't like, missized boxes or anything like that. So I'm just going to go through each part of the game room and give you guys a little overview about all of them. The first one is my electronic drum set here. I am a musician. I used to have a big 6-piece acoustic kit, but it was just taking up way too much room. And with a wife and 3 kids, it's a little bit of a noise distraction for everybody, so this tends to fit my life a lot better. This is my computer desk where I make all of the YouTube videos. When I initially bought this desk, it was meant for just a laptop, but now that I'm doing YouTube, it is getting pretty crowded pretty quickly. One really cool thing is this Xbox 8-bit Do keyboard. I love this thing. And it has this also green mouse that goes with it, with the Xbox green, very reminiscent of the Xbox Halo edition, which is cool. We just got a real mic, and this bag right here is the bag that I use every day for work. This is by Waterfield. I love their stuff. It is really pricey, but it's totally worth it. So I'm going to start with the original Xbox. The original Xbox is very, very near and dear to my heart because this was out when I was working at EB Games. That was what GameStop used to be called. They actually bought out all of the EB Games. So I remember working with and selling all these games, and the original Xbox is probably my favorite console from that generation. I just feel like it had a lot of really weird and quirky games, and the custom soundtracks, the Xbox Live, hard drive, it just had so many things that made it really, really unique. And I think it's a really underrated console, actually. It's really, really cheap to collect for. You can find a lot of these games for dirt cheap. And it's a console that no one thinks to collect for, but I think it's one of the best. Next, I have all of my Xbox One and all of my Xbox Series X games together because Xbox can't get it together and make their boxes make any sense, so they all kind of look the same. When the Xbox One came out, I was really disappointed because I thought that there weren't any games. I actually switched to PS4 that generation. But when the Series X came out and I heard that they were buying Bethesda, I decided to get a lot of the games on Xbox One so I could play them on Series X. I kind of wish that Xbox nowadays would kind of hold on to their exclusives a little bit more, but they've been doing really, really well this past year. There's been a ton of good games on Game Pass. Xbox Game Pass is great for new games, but for all the old legacy stuff, they're really dirt cheap and you can kind of get them at a very low price. Up here I have all of my PS4 games. That generation, PS4 was my favorite, and I had a ton of favorite games for it. I loved the controller, and I think it's the best PlayStation console of all time. Lots of great games. I just thought that they just knocked it out of the park with that console and just did a fantastic job. Here we have my PS5 collection. I did make a video going through a lot of these games. Let's see, good things about the PS5. Well, the controller's cool. The vibration's pretty cool. It's a weird looking console. I think PS5 is the worst PlayStation console of all time. There's not really many games for it. Sony has been focusing on making live service games that are going to get canceled. I just feel like they've really dropped the ball this generation. But I have enjoyed some games on the PS5. Up here I have my only big collector's edition, the Mirror's Edge Catalyst box set. It comes with a giant statue. That was sent to me by my buddy Josh. I love it, but there's not really a good place in here to display the statue, and it just gets super, super dusty. Here I have my PS4. I don't use this obviously because the PS5 plays all the same games, and I just don't know what to do with it, but I don't feel like I should get rid of it because it is a great console. I wear hats all the time. This is some of my favorites. I wear that one. I wore that one when I went on a cruise with my family. I got a lot of dirty looks. This is the best hat that I own. You can buy one in the description. I just love the way this one looks. This Sony thing does light up. Thrashers is an amazing French fry company in Maryland. And then I love Mort's Garage. Shout out to Mort. The Xbox 360 is one of my favorite consoles of all time. Even though it had the red ring of death and it had a lot of problems, it had so many amazing games. The Xbox 360 and the PS3 generation are probably my favorite generation of gaming. It was before live service games and microtransactions ruled the world, and there was a ton of great 3D action games and a lot of really weird and quirky licensed games. I loved the 360. I was a fan of the PS3, and I loved how the first generation ones played PS2 and PS1 games. The one thing I can't stand about PS3 games from a collector standpoint is that the boxes look different. If you look at the side here, they wanted to go ahead and pick red for some and black for the others, and I don't have any of them, but some of them are even blue. So that drives me nuts. I want everything on the shelf to look nice and together and unified, and it kind of is hard to do that with PS3 games. But there are a lot of great games on the PS3, and I did enjoy it, even if the controller was terrible. I remember selling PS2 games along with the Xbox games when I worked at the game store. A lot of great memories with a lot of these games. However, I wasn't the biggest PS2 fan. I feel like it's one of the more overrated consoles. Yeah, it has a ton of games, but not a lot of games for me. I was way more into the GameCube and the Xbox games. PS2 was just okay for me. But there were a lot of my favorite games, and I'll go through some of those. But I do love how all of the games look the same. You gotta love that as a collector. And I do have more hiding back here behind the PSP games, but I'm running out of room, so that's gonna become an issue. But I do respect the PS2, it's just not one of my favorites. The PSP was one of my favorite handhelds for a long time. And a couple years ago, I figured I want to try and get as many of the PSP games that I want to play right now before they go up in value. And I'm really glad that I did because they have gone up in value quite a bit. I have a ton of PSP games. This one's got there's two rows back here, and I even have some over there still. But now with the generation of the Nintendo Switch, I don't find myself going back to these games very much. Taking out a UMD, having to put it inside the PSP, a lot of the battery problems that the system has, I just have kind of fallen out of love with it. So I'm slowly getting rid of my PSP stuff. I have made a profit on a lot of it because a lot of it has gone up since I got it. But I just don't go back and play it very much with the Switch in my life at this point. This TV is kind of old school. It's not 4K or anything. I've had it for a long time, and it totally gets the job done, but one of these days I would like to upgrade it. I have the little Wii sensor up on top for when I want to play Wii or Wii U games. And down here I have all the current systems that I usually use on the regular. Over here I have my Series X with the Elite controller. Here is the new star of the room. It's a Switch 2. Loving this thing so far, it's awesome. This right here is a Retroid Pocket 4 Pro. This has a ton of games on it. This is probably the reason why I got rid of a lot of my cartridges. All my cartridge games are on here now. It also emulates all the way up to GameCube and PSP, and it works like a dream. And I have it on a dock. That way it all plays on the TV, and I can play it with a Bluetooth controller. And then this guy. Under here I have all my old school systems. There's my Halo Xbox. The first generation with the backwards compatibility. PS3, and then my 360. And on top of it is an HDMI splitter, so I can kind of pick and choose which ones I want to play. And then these drawers down here, we just have miscellaneous wires, cables, controllers, all that good stuff. So I told you guys that I don't buy many collector's editions. The reason for that is because I hate how the boxes are different sizes and they mess up how all the games look on a shelf. So I have some of them up here that I use. That's the new Pro Controller right there. And then these over here are Retroid and Ambernic emulation devices. A couple years ago, I got an emulation device at a store in California, and it kind of set me off on the path to learning more about emulation. And it's been really, really cool. There's tons of things you can do with emulators, and I'm kind of embracing it more now. That's kind of what I have up on this shelf. This is my favorite wall for very obvious reasons. I love the Nintendo Switch. It is my favorite console of all time, and it's not even a discussion. It's not even close. It has such an amazing library. It's such a versatile system. I love everything about it. It's why I made this channel. I got this sign up here from the SoCal Gaming Expo from RetroBeard. Shout out to RetroBeard. It's awesome. It's probably my favorite thing in the entire room. It just works phenomenal. It looks great. I absolutely love it. To be honest, now that I have all my Switch games over here, a little part of me wants to have Switch all the way to the bottom. That would make me very, very happy. I don't know if that's going to happen, but hopefully once the Switch 2 games start coming out, we'll start to fill out the bottom, but we'll see. Love the Switch. Next is my paltry Wii U collection. It used to be a lot bigger, but Nintendo has put all of the good Wii U games on Switch. So I've been selling all the games on Wii U that they moved over to Switch. I just have a little bit now. My favorite one is Devil's Third. The Wii U is pretty much my Devil's Third machine at this point. There's nothing really else on the system. I mean, it was just a failure. I couldn't really get into it. But I realized that it was a necessary step for Nintendo to take to get to the Switch. So I respect it, and I understand its place in Nintendo history. These are all my Wii games right here. I have them right between the Wii U and the GameCube. The Wii was a really polarizing system. A lot of people said that there were a lot of bad games, lots of shovelware, but in reality there's lots of great games and hidden gems that not a lot of people know about. When it came out, I was kind of apprehensive about the motion controls. I'm very traditional. I want my controller, a normal controller. I don't want to be moving around when I play. But they did a really good job of innovating and putting that Nintendo charm into a Nintendo console that was unlike anything anyone had ever seen before. The GameCube was one of those systems that nobody bought when it first came out. I remember working at EB Games, we just had stacks of them in the back. And they were like $50, $100, and nobody would buy them. But now, over the last couple of years, people have started to see the brilliance of the system and how great a lot of the games are. So this was my collection all the way from back then. A lot of really, really fantastic games. I love the Wavebird, I love the controller. It was just such a cool system. And even though it wasn't as powerful as the Xbox, it still had really, really gorgeous visuals, and I love the way that the games look. And a lot of Nintendo franchises got their start on this system, like Animal Crossing, Pikmin. There's just so many amazing games for it. And if you have a Wii, the Wii will also play GameCube games, so that's really cool too. When I first built this game room, I tried a traditional gamer chair, like those ones that look like a race car, and they're just not comfortable. I don't know why everybody insists on using those. I can see where if you're playing at a desk or something, but if you're just chilling, playing a game, you want to recline. This one does go back, it's powered, and it's got some cool lights. And this one just totally gets the job done. It's super comfortable, goes all the way back. And it even has storage. These little armrests go up, and you can keep your controllers in there, wires, remotes. It's really, really nice. So I can play different games while sitting here, and if the controllers wake up the consoles, I don't have to get up. It's perfect. Around the room I have a bunch of different posters and records from different games. Some of my favorites, got Yakuza. This is Fallout 3 right here. My buddy Josh, who I mentioned earlier, got me that. That's the record for the first Shenmue. There's the record for the second Shenmue, my favorite game of all time. We won't talk about the third. That's a picture from Dead Cells. We're not going to talk about that one. This is one of my favorite local Arizona bands called Celebration Guns. This is called a Pixu 64. This is what I use to keep track of all the subscribers, and then you could choose to have it show different gaming pictures, and you can actually design your own. It's really cool. This is a shadow box of River City Ransom, and this is a cartoon of Mirror's Edge. I put this light on this fountain here just because I think it's cool how it shines the ball, makes it like reflect around the room when it's dark in here. And then underneath I have a refrigerator filled with my life water, which is called Diet Pepsi, sometimes Diet Coke. I tried my hand at some 8-bit painting. It came out okay. I really think that the Shenmue one came out the best, but it was kind of fun to do. Here in this cabinet I have my Dreamcast collection. It is almost complete. I'm missing, I think, 30 or 40 games. The problem is that the games that I'm missing are all expensive and one-on-one fighting games, which I'm not very interested in. I remember trying the Dreamcast when I was in college, and there was a local store next to the college that I went to where they had cheap Dreamcast games. So I bought a couple, which became a couple more and a couple more. And then a long time ago, I decided that the Dreamcast was one of my favorite consoles. So I wanted to start collecting for it. So I used to go to these used game stores and just look anywhere I could for cheap used Dreamcast games. And I've amassed quite a collection. And I got a lot of these for pretty cheap. And now when you go to retro game stores, I feel like you can't find them anywhere. So I was really glad that I got them when I had the opportunity. So thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you guys thought of my game room. Let me know if you think anything's missing. These are my dogs, Daisy and Muffin. Thank you to all my 157 subscribers. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
I have a Switch addiction.